Common breathing mistakes. There's some really simple fundamentals we're going to roll through so that you have awareness in your day-to-day running and training so that you can optimize your breathing to become unstoppable. Let's dive in. Here's what we're going to cover: mouth breathing, dehydration, and nasal benefits. We'll understand the purpose of the mouth, we'll understand the purpose of the nose, we'll even take a sneak peek at what the nose actually looks like. When I learn about what the nose actually looks like, what its purpose is and what goes on, I'm like, wow, of course. But that's up to you to make your own decision. Let's carry on. Shallow chest breathing, fatigue and inefficiency. Time and time again, in fellow runners, this is what I see that actually is a big limiting factor in really simple performance and really simple ways that can just make the experience of running more joyful, more enjoyable, and support people to just go further and faster with way less effort. That's how I want to run. Irregular breathing patterns. Inconsistency is the biggest thing here. We'll shoot through some quick tips as how you can improve your breathing patterns whilst running to maximize your oxygen efficiency. Overbreathing, hyperventilation, blood oxygen balance. They say that the average person breathes 20,000 times per day. It's something 20 to 22,000 times per day. An efficient breather will breathe half of that. So if you expand that over a lifetime, that is a lot more breaths. It's a lot more work that our breathing muscles, that our lungs have to endure just to survive, just to show up every single day. So when we optimize this and we autonomically get our bodies to a state where we can actually breathe less to do all of the same things, that's when we start to make real change in our running, real change in our day-to-days. Instagram, you can follow Skeletal Freedom on Instagram for the latest updates. You can also follow on YouTube to help understand how to become an unstoppable runner. Follow for exclusive content at Skeletal Freedom. Share the course. If you find value in this, let's start a revolution and change runners' lives together. If these tips are helping you, feel free to share this community, share this content with your fellow runners or your fellow teammates. Train your team. Free online trainings for sports teams. All of this is absolutely free, and running is fundamental to pretty much every sport. So if we get this right with our breathing, with our movement, then that foundation is huge for everyone around us doing the things that we love. Warning, this is the most important video in the entire course. Watch the entire video, be present, don't fast forward. We continue to build on these progressive skills, so keep learning, keep showing up, keep embodying these practices so that you can level up your running. Pro tip, watch on 2x speed, but not the breathing exercises as always. Mouth breathing. Issue: breathing through the mouth can lead to dry airways, increased water loss, and less efficient oxygen uptake. Correction: practice nasal breathing during both rest and exercise. It filters, warms, and humidifies the air, improving overall respiratory efficiency and balances our blood pH. Tip: start by practicing nasal breathing during low intensity runs and gradually increase this as you get more comfortable. So coming back to a few of these things that we've mentioned here, breathing through the mouth can lead to dry airways. Our mouth is a moist place in our body, and we know that when we move air past moist surfaces, it dries them out. Especially if we're running in cool climates or on hot days, that exacerbates the dehydration in the mouth, which then sends dry, unhumidified air into our lungs, which often gives us a sensation of burning lungs or feeling like our lungs are on fire. Increased water loss. Continuing on from that, right? When we breathe through our mouths, it has been shown that you can increase your water loss by 30 to 40% compared to someone that is nasal breathing. That is huge, especially when we're looking to start going further in our running, from 10Ks to a half marathon distance, to marathons, to ultra marathons. Optimizing our moisture intake is either something we often have to carry, or we have to stop regularly to fill up our water supply. And so if we can make a simple adaptation to modify this and make this not become a requirement, it is huge gains for our training and the enjoyment of increasing our endurance. Less efficient oxygen uptake. But Alex, you say, my nose is really small. How can I get all of that air into my lungs, right? That I need to move faster and further. And coming modules will explore the importance of how saturated our blood is with oxygen. Quick hint, it's already oversaturated with oxygen and it's not actually the limiting factor. And so that's when, if we reduce the surface area that we can breathe in through, it increases our intra-abdominal pressure in our lungs. It creates the right chemistry in our blood to unlock that oxygen from our cells to then help you generate more energy to support the activities. So this can increase your oxygen uptake efficiency between 10 to 20% within your body. Big gains. Let's have a look at the nose. I've never personally looked inside my nose until understanding this diagram, and it takes me a little bit back to childhood, I guess, biology or like just human studies. And what's really interesting is that when you see the mouth like this and the nose like this side by side, we begin to understand the purpose of these structures far more intensely. If you Google what is the nose's primary function in the human body, it will tell you that it is to warm, humidify, and filtrate the air. Okay? Warm, humidify, filter. Okay, those are three fundamental core roles. The mouth's role is not to warm or humidify air. It doesn't have the toolkit to filter it, right? And so when we start looking at specific tools for specific jobs, that's when we do use the right tool for the right job. Okay, so it's not like when we're trying to open a can or a jar, we like use our foot. Even though our foot sort of could do it maybe, it's the wrong tool for the job, right? And because in our lifetimes we've probably just never been taught around what these parts of our body are actually for. I certainly haven't for the first 31 years of my life. When I started to understand, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so looking into this diagram, you can actually see that the tongue takes up a lot of the cavity in the mouth, and that when the nose is full of cilia, which you can't see in this diagram, that's primary for filtration of that air coming in. There's this complex chamber structure within the nose which mixes, filters, gives time for the air to move through the airways. It warms it, it humidifies it, very specifically for the purpose of air, not for the purpose of eating or things like that. And so that's why this organ of the nose is designed specifically for breathing. And this little diagram's a great little insight. You can actually just see the space of clear space that's meant for, I guess, air within the body, and how these two structures are very different. Shallow chest breathing. Next common mistake that runners make: shallow chest breathing. The issue Relying on shallow breaths from the chest rather than deep diaphragmatic breaths can lead to rapid fatigue and reduced oxygen intake. So as you've already experienced, breathing deep in our lungs, in our body, we maximize the full volume of those lungs and we become a more efficient engine and pump system to get that air into our bodies. Correction, focus on diaphragmatic breathing where the abdomen rises and falls with each breath. Ensure deeper and more efficient air exchange. Just like blowing up an air mattress, we want to be using big, long, deep strokes of the hand air pump, not short, sharp. We get really puffed really fast, and so bring strong awareness to your breathing when you're running. Is it short? Is it in the top of my chest? Am I panting more dog-like, or am I like a really efficient, deep, full stroke breath that's being really efficient? Tip, place one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdomen while practicing deep breathing to ensure your abdomen is moving more than your chest. So again, as you're moving, as you're running, just check in and see, am I moving more in my chest or am I breathing more from my diaphragm? If not, feel free to pause, do the exercise of deep diaphragmatic breathing, both hands on your lower rib cage, and expand the air into those ribs. Or when you stop to recover, do the same as well. It's really powerful to have that awareness. Irregular breathing patterns. Issue, inconsistent breathing patterns can disrupt your running rhythm and lead to early fatigue. Correction, develop a steady rhythm breathing pattern that matches your running cadence. Tip, use a 2-2 or 3-3 breathing pattern. Inhale for 2 or 3 steps, exhale for 2 or 3 steps to maintain consistency. So when we're running, if our diaphragm and our heart and our legs are all moving inconsistently or incongruently together, then it makes it really hard for those systems to find a stable rhythm, right? To support the body, to create a consistent feeling within the body that the systems are just flowing in a way together. And so when we bring awareness to our breathing and start maybe adding a count of inhaling for 2 breaths, exhaling for 2 breaths, or it might be via steps, inhaling for 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, exhaling for 3, 1, 2, 3. We start to build this rhythm in this regular breathing pattern, which starts to become really supportive to the rest of the functions of the body during your run. Overbreathing. Issue, breathing too rapidly and shallow can lead to an imbalance in oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, causing dizziness and reduced performance. Correction, practice controlled breathing techniques that emphasize slower, deeper breaths. Tip, focus on extending your exhalation, which can help maintain a calm and controlled breathing rate. So by breathing too much, sometimes we think that to get more oxygen into our cells we need to breathe more, when in reality it's quite the opposite. So when we breathe shallow and irregular, right, it shifts our carbon dioxide balance in our blood, which shifts our body's ability to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide in our cells to be able to create energy and propel our body forward. When we extend our exhalation, what it does is it reduces our breathing rate, it increases our breathing volume, and in doing so, it supports our body's tolerance for more carbon dioxide to be in our bloodstream, which inadvertently releases more oxygen from our bloodstream into our cells. It's really powerful. It also calms our nervous system. So next time you feel a desire to, that you're puffed or you're really exerted, think, Am I over breathing right now? Am I breathing shallow? Am I breathing fast? If yes, you might be a little bit stressed, a little bit panicked. The system might be a bit incongruent. Extend the exhale and it will calm the nervous system. It will enable more oxygen to be released from your cells and give your body the energy it needs to propel itself forward. In summary, the nose is designed for breathing. Google it. The nose is designed to warm, humidify, and filtrate the air. Breathe deep, reduce fatigue, and maximize volume. All about efficiency. Draw that breath right down into the full capacity of those lungs. You'll maximize the volume and reduce your fatigue in doing so. Breathe regularly, in step, in rhythm, gives the body confidence that it's calm and moving effectively towards where you need to go or the distance goal you're setting yourself. Emphasize slower, deeper breaths. Slower, deeper breaths calm our nervous system and will support you to run further. Extending exhalations increase that calmness of mind, of the body, and enjoy experimenting with this on your next run. Share the course. Let's start a revolution and change runners' lives together. You can follow along on Instagram, on YouTube to become an unstoppable runner. Follow for exclusive content at Skeletal Freedom. Today's quote: mediocrity doesn't just happen, it's chosen over time through small choices, day by day. Just like how we run and how we move through the world, we have the ability to make small choices and small modifications to help us flow through life and make those runs more enjoyable. I think beyond breathing, it's just a constant curiosity with how this body moves through the world, and I'm always fascinated by how we can improve that efficiency. So every day we have small choices, so it's up to you which choices you make on your next run and on the next day or for the rest of today. I'm fired up. I hope you're ready to go and start to debunk some of those common mistakes for runners for yourself and enjoy the experiments.